very much for being with us today. And we are going to ask you 3 questions. The first one is if you could briefly share your experience in international business.
My name is Theodore Baker. I'm, by my friends, referred to as Ted Baker.
And what kind of business are you, involved in, and what kind of international business, basically?
Well, I have a company, Global Green Tech Structures. It's a company that's based here in Atlanta, but I have offices in South Africa. Just finished building a model home there last year. Offices in Trinidad, and I have over the years, well actually since 1979, which was my first venture overseas in Algeria. I had, through Ambassador Andrew Young, received a contract with the Algerian government in excess of $80 million, and the appetite for international business was grown out of that experience.
Would you mind sharing some recommendation for an American company who wants to successfully develop their business overseas?
Well, it's there's several ways to get involved. One is through the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. The Atlanta Chamber would be able to connect you with other chambers, whether it be the Korean Chamber of Commerce, Brazilian Chamber, Israeli, doesn't matter. They all have representatives here, and through the chamber, you can interact with them on your interest in other countries, the countries that you would love to, and they will put you in touch with these countries. They have seminars that they are able to coagulate with these other different chambers to help you get started, help you understand their method of operandi, because it is so different.
In addition to that, do you have any recommendations for students like me who are interested in the international business?
Well, I think that if you are able to find a company that is doing business abroad, you start out at the bottom, and that's, I think, probably one of the quickest ways to get involved in international affairs. If you have capital, then you go straight to the chamber. Tell them what business you want to be exporting business, then they could put you in business immediately.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Can you please give us your name and what you do?
Hey, good morning. It's great to have you guys. My name is Gert Botha. I've been in the software, telecom, IT industry for, give my age away, probably 30 odd years now. I originally came from South Africa, where I worked for a number of multinational corporations that both imported and exported technologies in and out of South Africa. So through that career path, I quickly learned what international business meant, the challenges of foreign companies wanting to offset products into the African continent. I worked for South African companies that developed hardware and software, and we exported, so we quickly understood what it meant to have products ready for markets outside of the theaters we were in. Through that exposure, I got to do business in the UK, Australia, Switzerland, France, and a number of other countries, including Germany. I then relocated to the US about 8 years ago through one of the multinationals I worked for. Was given a great opportunity in the US, and in that role I had certain responsibilities for the North American market that included Canada and eventually the CALA region, Caribbean and Latin America. So again, through those exposures and that career progression, I quickly learned that what's good for one market is not necessarily good for another theatre, and that you have to tailor things specifics to the markets you're looking to enter into. So about a 30-year career progression in international business.
How do you successfully manage the different risks in international business? For example, cultural risk, country risk, currency risk, and commercial risk.
You just close your eyes and you swing. No. It all comes down to doing your homework. Fundamentally, we addressed some of those issues in the earlier question you asked about a good marketing strategy and things like this. So there's elements in there that repeats itself here, but it comes down to doing your homework. Understanding the variables in that specific market, having the right people next to you, people who have done this before. There's a lot of great people out there. We spoke about industry luminaries, draw from them. Look at the analysts, what are the analysts saying about it? This is all part of doing your homework. Another area that we perhaps haven't touched on yet is a lot of international business is done through partnerships. The biggest partner in a country isn't necessarily the right partner for you.
Yeah.
Find a hungry partner that has the ability to learn and to adapt and to take you into the specific market segment you want to go into. So do your homework on your partners carefully. Meeting people around a dinner table and agreeing on a business platform is one thing, but seeing how they execute and all the unwritten things, you've got to get to know them better. So I would say a large portion of your risk mitigation can be done by having the right partners in place, having the right contractual framework in place with them, that it clearly outlines the business objectives and the who's got what skin in what game. Having a great sales and marketing plan in place that supports the business, investing in training, and then more often than not, I think a lot of your risk mitigation can be done again by having the right financial people in play that can ask the tough questions that as sales and marketing individuals quite often aren't prepared to ask. So ask the tough questions, make sure you have an alternative plan in place. Do a little bit of scenario planning that says if this plays out differently, what is our second strategy? Because you can't only rely on one strategy and you're not going to get it right the first time. So have alternatives in place and make sure that those alternatives are acceptable to everybody. And then what I've learned is even if when you work through resellers or distributors or strategic partners in other countries, make sure you have at least a core of your own people in that particular theatre or country that are able to translate from a remote distant area what the challenges are in context of the manufacturer in this country, for argument's sake. So have someone that speaks the language, that knows how to translate the real business issues, because quite often if you rely on a foreign entity to do the translation for you as to what the sales and marketing challenges might be or what the product marketing challenges might be, that doesn't always translate well into an Americanism or into an American environment, and we may interpret it differently to what really is going on at ground level. So ensure that you have some local representation in country if you rely on partners to do your business there, and make sure that those people are at least well versed in the cultural and the product development and the sales and marketing ethics and cultures of that country, and use them as a translator between what really is going on in there and between your organization.
What are your main recommendations for a student wanting to develop a successful professional career in international business?
I think there's about 4 things that comes to mind immediately. Number one is you obviously have to do international studies. That's the entry level point, and that's the barrier to entry, I think. Global economics, global product marketing, global HR issues and things like that. So align yourself with a school that has a great global business program. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is watch less CNN. watch CNN, but broaden your base, watch a bit of Fox, spend a lot of time on BBC America. In other words, from a media perspective, make sure you feed yourself on media, both written, communication, TV, whatever it is you do. Broaden your scopes and make sure every day that at least you expose yourself to what's going on internationally. My day typically starts with a little bit of CNN, a little bit of Fox. That gives me a good balance across the political sphere and what their different views is as what's going on internationally. And then I spend some time watching BBC to see what's going on in the rest of the world. Media, read newspapers and things that have a good international business piece associated with that particular media. And then I'd say learn to speak a foreign language, whether it be Mandarin for that specific, on the eastern side, whether it be French or German if you're looking to do entry into a European company, or whether it be Portuguese or Spanish if you're looking to gain entry into the Caribbean and Latin American market space. If you do that, it will allow you to articulate to whoever it is you're wanting to go work with that you are serious about this business. Those are the things that are going to differentiate you from someone who is just saying they want to get involved in that business. It takes an investment to do that. It takes an extra mile to do that. But if I was interviewing people for global positions in a company, I'd want to see what they've done, what are the things that they've done outside of the norm that tells me that they're really serious about getting into international business, and most of all that they love it. You gotta want to know it and love it to get into that space. So good school, learn to speak a language, feed your mind on social stuff that and media that transcends the American space, and then I would say align yourself with a good global international company. There are a ton of them in the US that have global footprints. Just in Atlanta alone, I mean, you can think of a number of them, including Coca-Cola. And if it takes an internship, 3 months unpaid, as you're earning your stripes to get into that industry, I'd recommend you do it. Because there's nothing more exciting than having international business exposure and being able to travel internationally and learning about other cultures. And it provides a great career path. And typically, it pays well. So I would say those 4 things are probably fundamental to starting a good career in an international business.